Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Nyer and I'm with the Virginia SBDC. I'll be your facilitator for today's webinar. For those of you that are not familiar, the Virginia SBDC is the largest and most effective provider of customized counseling and education for small businesses in Virginia. Most of our services are offered locally in 29 different locations throughout the Commonwealth. Today's webinar is one of our educational offerings and is part of our ongoing webinar series, Google and Beyond, Marketing and Managing on the Web. This series is designed to take a look at tools and techniques to help small businesses take their business to the next level. Today's topic is LinkedIn for Business, Part 2. This will be a diver deep into LinkedIn, including company pages, showcase pages, and Sales Navigator. All of our Google and Beyond webinars are presented by Ray Sidney Smith, web and mobile strategist, author of Solo Mo Success, Social Media, Local and Web Small Business Marketing Strategy Explained, and president of W3 Consulting, a digital business strategy and training firm. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type those questions into the question window and Ray will do his best to answer them. Without further ado, here's Ray Sidney Smith.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to the Virginia SBDC Network for having me here on the Beyond Google Marketing and Managing on the Web series. As Tracy said, today we'll be talking about LinkedIn for small business and we'll be doing a deeper dive. If you have questions, feel free to ask them now. Plug them into the question panel and have Tracy interrupt me. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions as we make our way through this material. I'm basically going to talk like I did last time as much as I can until we have no more time left. So you can go ahead and follow us at W3 Consulting and ask questions later via the hashtag #BeyondGoogle. And of course, follow at Virginia SBDC for learning about new programs and further offerings from the SBDC network, as they're always putting new information out and new programs as well. So what are we going to talk about today? Today, as Tracy talked about, as Tracy stated, we're going to talk about LinkedIn company pages, and I'm going to go a little bit more slowly through that material as I sort of rushed through it last time. We're going to go through the LinkedIn showcase pages. I'm going to set up a showcase page for you again so you can see how that works, and then we can answer any questions you have about those. And then I'm going to take you into the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a product that I think a lot of small business owners don't know exists, or if you do know it exists, maybe you haven't experienced it, and I want to show you how LinkedIn Sales Navigator works, and then how LinkedIn Sales Navigator can be applied, how you can apply LinkedIn Sales Navigator type stuff to LinkedIn itself, even if you don't have Sales Navigator. So there are some things that you can do inside of Sales Navigator you can't get outside of that, but I'll show you what the differences are between them, and of course we'll have just a little bit of time for Q&A. But I'm gonna ask you again to ask questions while we're making our way through, as I'm not going to really have a lot of time at the end, if any. Just want to make sure that we get our way through there. So with that, I'm going to jump us over to LinkedIn, to the interface itself, just so you can get an idea of the platform and and everything else like that. So let's start off with the company pages. So again, as we talked about before, when you are under and at the main dashboard within LinkedIn, you're going to see a drop-down menu for companies, okay? And under companies, if you just click on companies, you will now be taken to the companies pages, right? And on there, you're going to see recent updates, and then on the right-hand side panel here, you're going to see manage your pages, and these show your company pages as well as showcase pages, okay? And so let's just take a step back now to understand what the differences between the company pages and the showcase pages are. The company page is your company. It's the overarching umbrella of the company, okay? So, think about this as what you are legally registered to and the things from which you pay payroll and that kind of thing. The showcase pages are really brand specific, product specific, portfolio based, and those kinds of things. So if you have different divisions or services that are sort of big brands that are sub-brands of your main company, that's where you'll want to create showcase pages, okay? And in the last webinar, you'll see that I created a showcase page for our web hosting and WordPress hosting service, and again, I'll go through this one more time and see sort of how it looks and works, but that's pretty much why you're seeing W3 Consulting, and then our division called W3C Web Services, okay? Below that, in order to create a new company page, you will see the yellow Create button, okay? And that's where you'll pretty much create all new company pages. So we click on that, And at this point, you'll be taken to this screen. Now, I'm not going to be able to take you through the whole process because parts of it will block me, but the general idea here, and then I'm going to go into the showcase pages where you'll see the process of completing a showcase page, which is almost identical to completing a company page. So here you're going to choose a company name. Now this is really important. When you create a company name, it is what will create the URL for your company, which if you go up here, see the https://www.linkedin.com/company/ everything that appears after that / is what will become what you type in. What you type in here will become whatever shows up after that /company/ after linkedin.com, okay? So what you want to do is when you originally create the company name, you want to make sure that it's either, brand specific for your company. So say your company is ABC Consulting. Well, what does ABC Consulting do? Okay, are you public speaking coaches? Well, you might want to type in here public speaking coaches Virginia. Now what's going to happen is it's going to now say linkedin.com/company-public-speaking-coaches-Virginia, or whatever the particular thing is. Or if you have a particular acronym that you like all of your various social media and other profiles to show, then you would put that acronym in here, and once you go through the process, then you're just going to change the name. That will not change that URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, or your address, the web address for your LinkedIn company page. But when you type it in here, whatever you type in is what it's going to become. Now, you need to have an email address that is not an @Gmail, @Yahoo, at Hotmail, or @Outlook. It must be and @yourcompanyname.com. It can really be any one. So for example, I own my own domain for myself, which is rsydneysmith.com. I could easily type in here my company name and then my email address, r@rsydneysmith.com. Don't email me there. And the email address will allow me to create that company because it's a public email address like a Gmail account or Hotmail or so forth. So none of those free services, you must use that. Then you're going to click on here to say I verify that I'm official representative, the company, and you're allowed to. Now, what you really want to do before you create a company, especially if you are and have been around for a while, is to actually search the search bar up here to make sure your company doesn't already exist. Okay, because if it already exists, then you want to go ahead and claim that from whoever created it and get yourself added as an admin. Okay. Another issue with companies is to make sure that you have more than one administrator on the account, and remember that, not on the account, on the company page, and remember that a company page administrator is not the same as a showcase page administrator. They are completely independent administrative panels. So if you have someone who's a company page administrator, they are not automatically created as a showcase page administrator when you create a showcase page. Okay, does that make sense? So you're going to really make sure that you have enough people to cover both company pages and showcase pages, so that you are not limiting someone who might need access to it, or making sure that you are correctly only allowing the people in that need to have access to the showcase page or the company page. Sometimes what I see frequently with clients is that they will create a showcase page and then appoint someone as the company page administrator, and what they really wanted was the person to be the showcase page administrator only that one particular one. Okay?
Ray, if their company already exists, how do they claim it back?
You have to contact the person who created it, the current administrator, and it will note whoever the administrator is when you go through the process, and you'll go ahead. It'll note the administrator on the company page because it will say how many employees, and you'll see who that is, whoever the person is, and at that point you'll need to contact them either through LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn and have them appoint you as an administrator. I know there's sometimes issues with someone who might have been a consultant or a vendor who created it for you, or a past employee. Unfortunately, you do need to reach out to them. If you can't, then send a message to LinkedIn contact LinkedIn support, and a customer service representative will help you from there. Typically, what they'll do is make sure that you are who you say you are, and once they've confirmed that to their reasonableness standard, they'll go ahead and give you access. Okay, so if you can't get in touch with that past employee or a past vendor or anything like that, you can then go ahead and reach out to LinkedIn.
Another question, is it bad for the same person to be an administrator for both if you do not have another person to be listed?
I would certainly recommend getting at least one additional person, even if it's a spouse, a child, a friend. Remember that LinkedIn, that person who's going to become an administrator will not be publicly seen, so you can just create an info at, email address, create a dummy profile even. Not that I'm advocating breaking the LinkedIn terms of service or terms of use, but you really want to make sure that you have some kind of backup, because if for some reason LinkedIn does decide to shut your account down, that will lock you out of your company page, and it will be very difficult to re-access it or regain it again. Especially if they've shut your account down because of a breach of some term of service, you will really want to make sure that you go ahead and do that. So I would not create a dummy account. Forget that. Try to find somebody else who you can appoint to join, and they just sit in the background. Nobody sees them, or anything like that. So you really want to make sure that you have access to that page through multiple people. Okay. So that's the creation of the company page. Now, like I said, since this is going to be tricky for me to create another company, I don't want to, do that on this is my live account, so I don't really want to do that. I'm going to take you through the creation of a showcase page to help you see what it looks like to create the rest of a company page. But at the same time, you'll see what it's like to create a showcase page. All right. So I'm going to go back over to the interests, drop down to company. And you can see here, there is the W3 Consulting, my company's page. So I'm going to click on it. All right, from this point, you can drop down on the menu here. Okay, so you can see the blue edit button. You can see I'm following my own company, and we can drop down, and now I can create a showcase page from the drop-down menu, the blue drop-down menu. Okay, I'm going to click on that. At this point, LinkedIn pops up a showcase page name option for me, and it gives me the ability to go ahead and add administrators and so on and so forth. In this case, I'm going to leave myself as the only administrator today, but normally I would add myself plus an additional administrator. And so here I'm going to go ahead and let me just do the Small Business Blog Network. Let's see if I can do this. Let's go ahead and create page. And now see what happened? The https www.linkedin.com company small business blog network. You see how it created that URL? Just like with the company, that is now the URL forever. Okay, you cannot change it. So this is really important that you make sure that that name is chosen wisely. Again, I can change that now. See down here in the middle of the page, I can go ahead and change this and just make it anything I want. Okay, I'm going to leave it that way just because that's what our division's called, but I could change that if I wanted to. Now up here under full width image, LinkedIn now gives me the opportunity to go ahead and add a feature, a full-size feature image. Okay, if I click on the add image, LinkedIn goes ahead, I might have said Google earlier, I meant LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives me some requirements. This is actually slightly different than the company page. The company page is a little bit smaller, I think 600 and something pixels by 400 something pixels. But either way, the point is here, you can upload a .png, a .jpeg, or a GIF. Okay, I really recommend a PNG or JPEG. Don't upload GIFs here. It can be a bit distracting, or GIF. Some people pronounce it GIF, but it's GIF. And max size is 2 megabytes for the full file size. Okay, so it can't be more than 2 megabytes. And this particular image for a showcase image page is 974 by 330. So when you go to create the company page, it'll tell you the exact pixel size for the company page. Just make sure that if you're having a graphic designer do it, or if you're using a software like Canva, if you go to canva.com, it's a free account that you can create these images. Make sure that you set the custom dimensions to those exact pixel size. Okay. Now what we're going to do is upload that image, and in this case, I'm not going to upload this image, but pretend I did, click on upload, and then you would hit save, and now this upload image would be ready, set to go. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to tell this to optimize for English, so I'm going to leave it there. That's my native language and the native language of my audience. You could change that if you need to. You have 75 characters to describe the particular, showcase page here, so it's a very, very minimal description. So I'm just going to go here to the Small Business Blog Network, and I'm going to pull the description from the page that I have set up here. So I'm just going to take the first characters from here, pop back over here, and you can see here it actually said 75 characters in the box, but it's telling me I have 88 characters out of 200, so you're allowed 200 characters now. That's strange. Look at that. Oh, minimum of 75 characters. My apologies. You have a minimum of 75 characters, but up to 200 character limit. Okay, that's good. So I'm just putting in some dummy text here, and again, default language is English. I can, of course, designate multiple admins, and you can go ahead and do that. And you can also have direct sponsored content. What that means is that if you got, for some reason, some type of content that you want to go ahead and put, from here, so that might be you got a direct sponsor from Nike or from Google or something like that. You could actually appoint those people to post content to this showcase page in addition to your administrators. That's beyond the purview of today, but it's there for you. Okay, next up is a showcase page website URL. So you can actually add an internet address for a page on, say, your own website, or wherever you might have more information about this particular thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the network's URL, smallbusinessblognetwork.com, and it goes ahead and gives me the opportunity to list under here what the particular industry is. Now, this is a fairly limited concept, context list, so you're going to have to pick from the items that are in here. I'm just going to choose marketing and advertising, and just remember, don't pick accounting. There are so many LinkedIn ones. I might have said this in the last webinar, but if you go through LinkedIn, there are supposedly so many accounting firms in the world, but really it's just because people drop down and click the first one that's there, and that is really, really not correct. Okay, so you can see here that you have the ability to add this feature image and set up all these pieces, and now what I'm going to do is just click on publish. And what LinkedIn will do is go, you are missing something from one of these fields. And it says, oh, look at that, you missed the company logo. Okay, so remember that you have to add a company logo. And so I have to go ahead and add a company logo that's a 300 by 300 pixel image. And I'm just going to go in and choose an image in here. That is the LinkedIn image. Now, what I really recommend that you do is to upload an image that's about 400 by 400 and actually have LinkedIn shrink it down. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a 400 by 400 pixel image. You can see there's just a little image about Small Business Blog Network. I click on confirm, and you can see here that it's gone ahead and shrunk the image down to the size that it needs. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and click on publish once more. Great, and so you can see here, the image appears here. Note that we want this image on the showcase page to be different than our company logo. The reason for that is that when you look at the logos, when you come up in a search, for instance, it's going to look very different if you have, it's going to look all the same if you have the same logo as your image for your showcase page as for your company page. So you really want them to be different, okay? So you can see that we have different ones. And I'll give you a little bit of an example by just going over to companies. Dropping down on the right-hand side panel here, you can see under Manage Your Pages, you see how this says, W3 Consulting Inc., and you can see now the two showcase pages that I've created. See, the icons are different because if they were all the same, then visually when someone's looking at your brand, they do a search for you, they're just going to see the same logos, which is not necessarily accurate as to what they actually are. And since people have short attention spans, we really want to make sure that they see different icons for different things. So just make sure that they make make sense in terms of that.
Ray, we have a couple of questions at this point for the showcases.
Sure.
I was on the showcase page earlier, but I couldn't find a way to save and return without publishing. Do you know if LinkedIn allows you to save without publishing?
Sure. So that initial creation process, you go ahead and you have to publish. On this, if you scroll down on the right-hand side on the edit page, you can disable this particular page. Okay, so when you do that, it disables the page and it won't be shown. Okay, so that's how you could just basically turn it off in that particular way. I'm not quite sure whether or not it actually turns it off from search, but it will actually turn it off from its viewing on the page itself. Okay, so you can actually turn it off in that regard. And otherwise, that's really the only option I know of that disables it. I can find out whether or not it actually turns it off of search, but my understanding is that it actually only disables it from view from the company's page. So when you go to the company page, it will no longer show as an option because you've disabled it. And so for some reason, I believe that it actually turns it off altogether, but don't hold me to it. I think it might just turn off from the listing.
Okay. Then can you use showcase pages to market the same product but to different audiences? For example, if you have one service but you wanted to showcase it in a different way to different markets, can you use the showcase page to do that?
Yes and no. So a showcase page should really be for an audience greater than 100. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to view analytics data for it. So just think about that when you're creating the pages. Yes, they should be for a specific audience, but not too specific, because then you won't be able to really slice and dice the data and see what's going on. Okay, so just think about your numbers. But the idea is that if you have a company page, and once you get over 100 subscribers to a company page or a showcase page, you are then allowed to see the analytics data. Not just the analytics data, but the ability to filter that data down. Before that, you're really not allowed to or capable of doing that. So you really want to make sure that you get above the threshold of whatever the minimum threshold is for it, and then you can start dissecting.
Okay.
Until that point, it's really not fruitful to have an additional page.
Cool. Sorry. Can you create a company page without having it on your own profile?
Correct. So one of the things you should do is to make sure that it is connected to your profile from your personal profile. You can connect the account there. The way that you know that it's connected is that the logo you uploaded for your company page will actually appear, and I'll show you that. So if you click on my profile, and just as you scroll down, you can see that I'm associated with this company page because the logo for that page is showing. If I hover over it, you see the company that it's connected to. Now, if this is not there, then I'm not connected to that company. So you can have the company page and not have it connected to your profile.
Okay. If our company has on a universal logo in 7 different departments, would it be wise to use the same logo for all 7 departments?
That really depends on the company makeup and everything else like that, and whether or not the showcase pages are actually even useful for all 7 departments. I would be only utilizing the showcase pages for outbound facing markets that you really need them to. So for example, human resources really doesn't need its own showcase page unless they are in some way, shape, or form not wanting to use the company page to promote their hiring, retention, benefits, those kinds of things. That should be just put out on the company page, not necessarily with an HR. Again, that's a strategic decision that the company has to make, but perhaps not all 7 companies need that. And then perhaps you do need to figure out what the sort of sub-branding is. It doesn't have to be another logo. For example, I just took icons for W3C Web Services, and I used our logo with some other iconography to tell us to just identify. It still has our logo on it, but it identifies what this is all about. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Small Business Blog Network. It still has a logo on it. It has a logo on the awning of the little icon that we've created for the Small Business Blog Network, but the logo for the Small Business Blog Network is what's most prominent. So maybe it's just an image that, you know, sort of represents that department, and then your logo on top of that, you know, and you have to sort of make your various approvals through whomever needs to do that. But you know, the logo should not be the most prominent item there. It should be what that division or department is about. Any more questions about company pages and showcase pages? I'm going to talk a little bit about the posting.
Okay, I do have,
and then I'm going to move on.
A couple of additional, and then we can move on. Can I create a company page without adding the company to my work experience?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
And
yeah, so you're just gonna add the page as I showed you. You're just not going to go back to your profile and add it there as I showed you. It won't show that logo, and if it doesn't show the image you uploaded, then you're not connected.
do contacts from personal pages transfer over to company page? If not, how do I let my contacts know that a company page exists other than to send them in an email to look at it?
So they do not follow over. They don't connect on purpose. And so you can see here, you know, the under followers here for the company page or the showcase pages is blank. Nobody's following this until you let people know that it exists. The way that you do that is through sharing an update to the feed, to the LinkedIn feed, and letting your connections know, letting people know in your email signature, sending it through your email newsletter, potentially through other advertising means, you know, putting out Google ads, that kind of thing, broadening the scope of people who know about your company. So you really are going to do that through all the various marketing methods that exists. And the idea here is to bring new people into the fold, not just your, you know, it's good to have your current community maybe follow your company page, but what you really want to do is you want to be able to drive new people to your company page who would be interested in your company. So this is about what are you going to put out in terms of content that's going to get people engaged in that. And the way you do that is to go in and post updates. And I showed this in the last webinar, and I'm going to not go over this too much, but you can attach images and you can embed video and that kind of thing and really post regular updates. LinkedIn says daily updates. I don't necessarily know if that's needed, but the reality is that you would post regular, consistent updates to let people know about what's going on. Now, a note here, it says share with all followers. You can drop down and you can actually target this audience, but remember, you can only target that audience when you reach a particular level. So you know, once you have a particular, in this case, 100 followers for LinkedIn, you have to have at least that 100 followers, and then you can start to filter. So from the person's earlier question about should I create multiple showcase pages for the same product, this is why you wouldn't, because you can actually post to just a particular group of people within this particular showcase page. So you can actually hone it in right here. There's really no necessity to have multiple pages. Say if you had, you know, 6,000, you know, followers of a showcase page for a product and you really wanted to start to segment them, and it was getting difficult to do that here, you could potentially break it up into multiple pages. I don't see that being an issue, though, for most people.
I'm going to do one more before we move on. Is there a way to automate updates on the showcase pages as you would do with Hootsuite and LI profile updates?
Yeah, so my knowledge is only as a Hootsuite brand ambassador that Hootsuite does allow you to be able to post to company pages. So you're capable of registering these company pages, LinkedIn groups, and showcase pages within Hootsuite so that you can post either scheduling them or within the tool itself. So when you're here in the admin center, the cool parts is that you can post these updates, you can attach you know, photos, and you can put video links in here and links to blog post articles and other kinds of things that you're doing. And then you can also view analytics. I'm not going to have time to go over the analytics, but it's pretty basic. It tells you, you know, who's engaged with your content, and you can set yourself up to, you know, want to beat your current metrics. You know, if you're getting 0% engagement today because it's the first day of that, you want to increase it by 5% in the next month. You know, just see what you can do incrementally to put out good content and get people to engage with it. And then, of course, deepen the relationship. The point is that you want to bring people closer to you so that they like you or love you and want to buy from you. All right, so that's the whole idea here, is to really get an understanding of the numbers and make your way toward getting closer to.
How did you get there, Ray? Just real quick, how'd you get there?
Sure, interests, companies, right? And then once I clicked on the company page, the showcase page, I'm sorry, just scroll down, and this is the admin center, right? So here's the sort of basic information that I posted, right? And then underneath that is the admin center. I can post here, and then right to the right in the dark gray bar of the admin center is the analytics, view analytics button. Okay? So any more questions about company pages while we're here, or showcase pages? And then I'm going to move us over to Sales Navigator because we have a lot to cover.
It was a little off the subject, but what's the difference between share an update and publish a post?
Same thing. Okay?
Yep, go ahead and move on.
Great. All right. So that is a company page and a showcase page, sort of the construct of those things. It's very similar to a Facebook page. You want to be able to update, engage your community, create a community, engage that community through social listening, social sharing, and then, of course, socializing, connecting those people together and deepening the relationship to bring you closer to a sale. All right. Now, I'm going to be taking us over to the LinkedIn Sales Navigator product. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a separate paid product through LinkedIn. LinkedIn has several products. This one is, I think, mostly focused, is the one best focused for small business if you are really doing direct B2B or B2C sales and really wanting to do some lead generation work. So I'm going to take you over there. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice when you come to LinkedIn Sales Navigator is that it takes you through this onboarding process. Now, well, the first thing you might notice is that it opened up a new tab. And it opened up a new tab because LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a completely different platform than LinkedIn, all right? Now, they share some qualities, but they are, in essence, independent systems, all right? So it'll take you through this onboarding process. If you ever need to get back there, you can always just go to this URL, which is /sales onboarding welcome, and it'll take you back to this page. And in this particular case, it says, hey Ray, how's it going? Welcome. Let's get started with the process, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on continue here so that it takes me through the onboarding process. And LinkedIn is going to start to give me some suggestions for people with whom I should connect, what they call leads and accounts, okay? So in this particular case, they're going to give me some companies they've suggested that I should connect to as accounts. You can just consider accounts companies. So here it looks like they've given me some companies here, and I'm just going to go ahead and type in a couple companies that I'm looking at. This is just 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 for Yahoo doesn't exist. Well, Yahoo doesn't exist. Anyway, but you can see here that what happens is that you can go ahead and click the plus sign next to any one of the accounts, and what will immediately happen is that LinkedIn Sales Navigator will go ahead and tell me who are the people that have worked at Microsoft at one point, currently work there, and they become, in essence, leads, okay? People who might be people you want to sell to. Now, you can automatically have those leads imported into your system, or you can choose to uncheck them and not bring them into the system. Just for sake of the demo, I'm just going to add those people as well. So I added two companies, Google and Microsoft, and now they've been connected. Now we're going to be taken over to the Salesforce. LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Salesforce are tightly integrated. Salesforce is the CRM, the Customer Relationship Management tool, and if I had a Salesforce account, I would be able to synchronize this information. Now, if you have a Salesforce account, you will definitely want to do this. It helps automate a lot of this stuff. And the only thing I'll tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator is that and Salesforce integration is that it does it on a daily basis. So it usually takes about 24 hours for it to synchronize all of that data, and so it also only synchronizes once daily. So just make sure that you're aware of that as things go along. All right. Next up is it goes ahead and looks at the companies that it might want me to add into my pipeline, and so it goes through and it looks at the various companies that I'm connected with already, or are second or third degree connections, and it goes ahead and says, hey, would you like to add any of these to your Sales Navigator? I'm just going to click continue. Next, it gives me a question about cities. So it asks me, where's your sales territory? Where might you want to sell? Now, this doesn't limit me in terms of being able to see outside of it, but it's a filter so that I can sort of narrow and focus my attention on things. So if I type in here Washington, it's going to give me the options of Washington, D.C. Metro. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm going to type in the New York metro area. And so it's New York City, the greater New York City area, just as examples. And now I click next. Now it's going to ask me for industries. What kind of industries might be things that I want to sort of narrow the focus down to? And this would actually be lovely if I could actually say I don't want these particular industries, but instead this is only a pro-industry concept, and so I might want to look at, let's just pick law practice. I'll pick a law practice. So say I was focused on law practices and retail or something like that, and I'll pick retail here. I remember retail being here. There it is. So I've picked law practice, industry, and retail. Okay. Next up, it says, what job functions do you usually sell to? Okay, and this is a very sort of concept, but in essence, you're going to type in legal functions, people who have legal functions in their titles, and people who are probably owners, administrators, those kinds of things. So I'm going to type in administrative, entrepreneur, and operations. Okay, so those people who might be COO, CFO, all the CXO positions. All right, and now what LinkedIn Sales Navigator is doing is it's going through its system and customizing the experience for it. Okay, so that's the onboarding process. The LinkedIn Sales Navigator Learning Center has a lot more information about LinkedIn Sales Navigator and its own training process. If you ever need this later, if you just hover over Help, you can go ahead and click on the tips and training, and then if you have any specific questions about troubleshooting the system, you have the Help Center there as well. All right, so let's go over the interface and then go through some of the settings here. So first and foremost, you'll see here, this is the LinkedIn Sales Navigator logo. This will take you back to this screen if you're ever anywhere else within LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you need to go back to LinkedIn, you will click on this link right below your own profile image, okay? LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives you a 30-day free trial, so you have 30 days to try it, and then after that, I think it's about $60 or $70 a month. Okay, so LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives you the logo in the top right-hand corner. To the right of that is the search window or the search field and the lead builder. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, to the right of that is Help. Next to that is my profile image. So this is me. Below that is Settings, and we're going to go over the settings in a little bit as well. Okay, below that is the secondary row on the dashboard. And we have Home. Home takes you right back to this place. Accounts tells you how many accounts, again, accounts, companies are equal, accounts you are currently prospecting, okay? In this case, I have 2 listed here in parentheses. That means I have 2 companies that I'm sort of following. Leads, it tells me how many leads that I have currently active in my account, and I can go ahead and see a number next to that as well. Seat management is for team link, whether or not you have multiple members on your team and how many licenses you have of Sales Navigator itself. The inbox gives you 2 different inboxes. Again, Sales Navigator is a separate tool, so it shows you inbox messages from sending messages between leads and yourself here within Sales Navigator, and then your normal LinkedIn inbox, in-mail messages that you're sending back and forth on the LinkedIn side. Now, the funny part about this is that I do not have 7 messages in my LinkedIn inbox. That's just a glitch. So I don't know why it keeps doing that, but I've written to LinkedIn customer service, and that's just the nature of it. So there are quirks in the system. Note this red number here shows you, which is my 0, my 7 is a 0, is the aggregate of these two inbox items. Okay, so it takes the number of messages you have in both of these, it aggregates them, and shows that number up here. Okay, so it gives you an idea of what needs to be dealt with immediately. Okay, and you should. All right, so that's pretty much the main interface. LinkedIn Sales Navigator does have a mobile application for the major smartphone desktops. Works pretty much the same way. If you have LinkedIn already on your mobile phone, it will automatically detect that and help you log in through your current connection. It might actually ask you to go ahead and log in again. If it does, you just plug in your email address and the password you use to log in to linkedin.com, and it will take you directly into Sales Navigator. If for some reason you do not get the password correct, after a few times it'll give you the CAPTCHA screen and have you go ahead and plug in whatever the numbers are on the image until you get it right. Okay, but you do use the same password to log into linkedin.com and LinkedIn Sales Navigator on both the desktop web as well as on your mobile devices. Okay, and you can do pretty much the same kinds of interacting and engagement that you can on the mobile app. There are some limitations in terms of how deep you can search in some of the areas, but that's just to be expected on a mobile application on a small phone. Okay, so let's go over settings just very, very quickly. All right, so if at any point during the onboarding process you missed something, you changed your mind, settings is where you're going to change that. Okay, so here at the settings page, we have, sort of tells you everything that you have about the system. So here under the account type, it tells you what kind of account you have. In this case, this is a Sales Navigator professional account. So you have basic, professional, enterprise, other kinds of accounts. I can't remember all the various types at the moment, but you can see what type. You can upgrade your plan. You can go ahead and cancel your subscription and all that other kind of stuff. Under billing, it tells you when your next payment is due and how much it will be billed at and what date, so you're aware of that. And then over here, it tells you how many messages you have for LinkedIn InMail. InMail is just the messaging platform within LinkedIn. The interesting thing about InMail is that when you do it through Sales Navigator, it actually sends the message to the person that you're trying to reach at the time in which that LinkedIn Sales Navigator believes they will most likely respond. Okay, so when you send an in-mail message, you are not sending it right now. You are sending it now for the person to receive it when they will best or most likely receive it and respond. Okay, so you get a number of credits per month. In this particular case, in my account, I get 30 credits, and if that person does not respond within 90 days, that credit then comes back to me. But all credits that are accrued, so say I have 30 this month, I don't use them, I get another 30 next month, those will actually accrue up to 90 if I don't use any of them over 3 months, but after 90 days, they will then start to purge. Okay, so if I don't use any messages from January, and I'm sorry, in February, and I go to March, then April, at the end of April, the ones that were here in February will then purge and no longer be available. Okay, so you can only ever have up to 90 days worth of in-mail messages in terms of credits. But it's really great because you have the number of credits for the people who are responding. You only use credits for the credits that people are not responding to you for. I'm sorry, you are only using in-mail credits for the messages people are responding to you from, not ones that are not successful. Okay. Now you can tell people that you're a premium member on your profile. You can turn them on or off, and you can change all the various industries. So you can see these are the things that I changed in the onboarding process, and I can go ahead and turn them on and off here in the settings area. Okay. You can see sync data from the CRM, and you can see the email preferences from there. Again, don't email me at that email address. So going back over to home, you can see now LinkedIn Sales Navigator has fully updated. It takes a little bit of time for it to go ahead and do what it needs to do. But now LinkedIn Sales Navigator has gone ahead and set up my account officially. You can see now that it's sourced my leads from the accounts that I had available. So it said, oh, okay, these are the leads, Ray. It's gone ahead and put in the news feed in the dashboard, and it's given me my social selling index, which is a 69 out of 100, and it tells you what your social selling index is, from week to week, how many people have viewed my profile in the past 3 days, and other recent activity. Okay. Now, the cool part about this is that really what you want to be doing is on a daily basis coming into the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Remember, you're paying for this product, so you really want to be here every day. You want to look in here and give it a daily review. I don't like top updates. I really like recent updates. And that allows me to be able to see here, who in my leads and accounts are posting interesting content, and do I want to like or comment on that particular content that's being posted. Now, remember, this does not overcome LinkedIn's internal privacy settings. So if this content is being posted within someone's network and not outside of that network that is publicly posted, it is not available to you. Okay, so you don't overcome that, but you do get a chance to at least see the public content that's being posted. You could save this person as a lead if this particular account and lead match up in terms of something that you want to create a more close relationship, that kind of thing. Now, I like to go through here and just look at potential leads, lead news, lead shares, account news, and account shares separately, okay, because that gives me a better view of what's really going on. But you could just look at all the recent updates, scroll through all of them, see what's available, and then be done with, sort of scrolling through and saving and adding leads, okay? Now, if you don't have any leads or any accounts to begin with, then LinkedIn Sales Navigator is going to give you a couple of options. We're going to hop over to the accounts. And you can see here that you can add companies, right, just by adding the company here and then saving those accounts. You can see I have Google and Microsoft that I'm currently looking to prospect from, but also the suggested accounts. I suggest that you look at the suggested accounts every day, or at least once a week, and make sure that you process them. The reason for that is that LinkedIn is paying attention, okay? So LinkedIn says here, there are none from Salesforce, which would make sense because I haven't connected it, but from a LinkedIn, it says, here goes 20 accounts that I suggest you connect with. Well, if these are not good for me, then I want to make sure that I remove the suggestion so that in the future, LinkedIn knows, oh, you know what, these particular types of companies are probably not the kind that Ray is looking for. And if I save a particular account, then it knows that that's a type of company that they might want to look at in terms of other related companies that they might want to suggest to me in the future. So it does that prospecting for me in sort of a light way for accounts. Again, accounts, companies, equal. Now, what I can do is see them in my saved accounts and start to view the information in the dashboards. All right. A couple of things about this is if we click on View Account, you'll see here that LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives us the lead recommendations, people with whom LinkedIn Sales Navigator thinks I should connect, and because they either work at the company and they have a particular title that I've referenced in the system, all kinds of things. They tell me how I'm connected. So how are you connected to this to Google? Well, you know all these people, okay, and then you can see even more people. So I'm connected to LinkedIn through at least one first-degree connection and many second-degree connections, and so on and so forth. Okay, Team Link is for the group plan where you have multiple seats of LinkedIn, and that's very powerful if you do actually have a company. Make sure that all of your LinkedIn, all the company, colleagues who are in LinkedIn are brought under Team Link, and then you're capable of connecting through their connections as well. It's a very powerful tool. All right, so all of this is pretty much stuff you would see in the normal interface on LinkedIn, but what LinkedIn Sales Navigator does is it actually says, hey, people who also viewed this also viewed these companies. Go figure. Someone who looked at Google looked at Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, LinkedIn, IBM, Twitter, Oracle, and so forth. Okay? In your industry, obviously that's going to be different companies, but now what it's doing is it's exposing you to potential accounts that would be of value to you as well. Really powerful tool when you're looking at the various people who are in LinkedIn and the various companies or accounts that are in LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. Now this does this in the same way on the profile side, on the leads side, okay? I'm going to click on leads. And I'm going to pick on my friend Rusty. And so click on Rusty. And up here, we can see that there are lead recommendations at the top. So basically, people like Rusty who might also be good for leads. I can click on Save as Lead, and it will be added to my leads as well. Okay. Now, scrolling down, what it does is it tells me how I'm connected to Rusty. Now, of course, I've clicked on a first-degree connection, so obviously I'm connected with him on LinkedIn. If this were a third, fourth, sixth-degree connection, it would show how I was connected to that particular person through Rusty. Make sense? Okay. So it'll show me how to do that, and of course, I can go ahead and send a message. When I do, it pops up a message, and I could say, hey, Rusty, can you connect me to so-and-so and allow me to be able to do that? Now, another one of the features that is really great about LinkedIn Sales Navigator is just like with the accounts, it goes ahead and says, hey, who's like, Rusty, people who also viewed Rusty's profile, who else did people look for? And it looks at those people for people who might also be of interest to me, okay? So people who looked at Rusty looked at people who were at AT&T and Groupon and other companies like that, Apple, Orbitz. So you can see these people might also be people that you want to look at because they may be potential leads and therefore be brought closer to potential customers or sales decision makers, right? Okay. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show before I close up and we can take questions is the search panel. All right, so I'm going to go back to the home page. All right, so from the Sales Navigator dashboard, right at the top of the screen, as I talked about before, there is the search for people and companies, right? Searching for leads and accounts. And the LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives you the lead builder, which is an advanced sort of drop-down field. You could just really consider it advanced search. And what it does is it gives you the ability to go ahead and search across many, many different things. I only want to show you a couple things about this so that you just have an idea about how it works. It's Boolean search style. So, for example, in any particular field, you can type in the appropriate content that you're looking for. So in this case, if I'm looking for the company Microsoft, okay, I can go ahead and type in Microsoft. It'll drop down and give me options for companies that I want to search for. So if I'm looking for companies in Microsoft, I can see that there are 129,009 results for me to be able to connect as leads within Sales Navigator, okay? Now, say that I want to look for people who are VPs, okay? Now, I could go under seniority level, and I could go ahead and just click on VP. What VP does is it creates a Boolean search for anyone who might be in the vice president sort of tier within Microsoft. Now, just for purposes of demonstration, I'll show you how I do that if I weren't going to click on that. So I'm going to type in VP, which is, the initials for vice president, or capitals, all caps, to look for people who might have vice president spelled out in their title field. Now notice, this only searches the current title field of their profile, okay? So vice president or someone who might have vice president hyphenated, or someone who might have the word VEEP in their title, okay? So you could just keep going ad nauseum into various ways in which people might write this, but what's going to happen now is that this search criteria is now added, and you can see that there are 511 VEEPs, and I can click on search. And now Sales Navigator has provided me with what you typically see in LinkedIn.com, but now this is a search within Sales Navigator for me to be able to filter further if I need to. Now again, if I go back to the lead builder, this screen has the same drop-down, the search that I just did. I can search any field in the keywords, right? So I could do the same Boolean search in keywords, and it'll then search every field, the person's current title, past titles, if they put VEEP or VP or vice president in their profile description, all of those things, okay? If they are a vice president within alternative dispute resolution, all kinds of, you can filter and filter and filter, all right? Now, the cool part is that you can save these searches. Now, again, if I wanted to add this person as a lead, I just save as lead, and voila, they are now saved as a lead. Now, if I wanted to connect with this person, I could do that also and view their profile, just like you could on LinkedIn, and you can also unlock profiles, which you can do only in Sales Navigator if you're not a connection. You can do about, I think it's 25 per month. You can unlock profiles for leads if you're not connected with them. Once you do that, it is unlocked forever. You can see that account forever. So every month you get 25, you can unlock them, and then that replenishes the number in the future. Okay. So once you have a search that you really like, you have the opportunity to save it. Now this is where Sales Navigator gets really powerful. So say that I have this particular search that I want to do, and I'm going to title it. So I'm going to say Microsoft Vice VPs, and whatever. I'd say that I did this in North America. I'd put in North America, whatever the various criteria are. Now what I could do here is I can go ahead and save this search, okay, and I could say every day, every week, every month, or never send me a listing of this search. So I would say daily, I want you to email me a list of all the Microsoft VPs. After a couple of weeks, that would probably run dry, and then I could move that to weekly so that any new ones that were not leads would then come to me after that time. You're allowed 15 of these at any given time, total, 15 recurring saved searches. You can have unlimited non-recurring. Okay, so you can have static saved searches. This is really going to save you a lot of time, is creating these saved searches so that you're able to do that. Now on LinkedIn.com, you can create saved searches, but you are limited to the number, I think it's 5 or so that you can have. I might be wrong on that, but you can save those as well there. Okay, so that's LinkedIn Sales Navigator in a really brief nutshell. But again, just to go back so that you have an idea, you want to make sure that you are covering the daily dashboard, review. You want to make sure that you look at your suggested accounts under the Accounts tab, and then go to Leads, at least daily, and look at the various people who have been added to your leads and figure out what you want to do with them, okay, so that you're making sure that you're paying attention to all of those items and so on and so forth. So with that, we have about 2 minutes left, and I'm happy to answer questions, and we can close out.
Okay, a couple of questions. Does Sales Navigator do B2C also? Because your example was more of a B2B.
Absolutely. So as I said at the top of the webinar, Sales Navigator works in the B2C environment in the sense that instead of looking at potential leads in terms of trying to sell them your services as a company, you want to be selling them products as a company. So it's going to take some creativity, obviously, on your part, but you can absolutely look at those, if your audience is on LinkedIn, why would you not be able to sell? So for example, say that you were a life coach, okay? Well, you know the kinds of people that are in your target audience, through your buyer personas or, your demographics data, and you want to look for those kinds of people on LinkedIn. Go into Sales Navigator, make them leads, and now you're looking for individual people, not to pull them into accounts, but to make those leads directly your clients or your customers. You see what I mean? So as a B2C tool, absolutely, you can totally mine the LinkedIn Sales Navigator database for being able to bring those leads closer to the sale, and you know a lot of information about them, and you're in that leads dashboard, something I didn't show you, but you could see, how you're connected. Are you in groups together? If you're not in a group together, maybe you want to join a group together, because like begets like. So if someone's in one particular business or professional group, or alumnus of a particular university, well, connect within that group, and now you're capable, if you are actually an alumnus of also that university, not just joining it out of blue. But the idea would be, if there's an affinity group that you can connect with, now you have something to connect with them on and start to bring yourself closer to the sale.
Great. If you use the free trial and then decide not to continue, what happens to the data you've collected thus far? What happens if you decide to stop after 6 months?
Okay, so you are capable of exporting some of the data within your system. You can also synchronize that data to Salesforce.com and then export it that way. But once you do leave the system, it does just go dormant. So until you pay again, that data is not accessible. There is a time frame that LinkedIn has that they say in the terms of service for them to purge, and it's not coming to me right now. But there is like a six month or 9 month period before they go ahead and purge the data permanently from not being a member. So you have the ability to get the data out in different ways, but once you do leave the system, it becomes blocked. You don't have access to it, and then at some point in the future, it gets deleted.
Okay. So back to the company pages. If I've built a company page but don't see my logo next to my current job experience on my profile, how do I link it to my company on my profile?
Sure. So when you're logged into your profile, you'll see that when you hover over your company name for your current position, you just click on the company name. It'll open up the field, delete what's in it, and start typing your company name. It'll drop down, click on that, and click Save.
Great. And on the company or the showcase pages, can a department head/hiring manager have direct communications with prospective job candidates, and can they pull resumes from the showcase page?
No, you will want the LinkedIn Talent Solutions product, and that gives you the ability to do all of those things through your company page through a completely different portal. So LinkedIn, the company page and the showcase pages are really not designed for that kind of thing. Now, it depends on the size of your company and all the other kinds of things. You can obviously have public open discourse with people there, but it is not designed for being able to manage HR or recruiting directly from the showcase page.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for participating today. We had some great questions. Today's webinar was recorded and it'll be posted on the Virginia SBDC website under live webinars and recordings. Tomorrow you'll be receiving a follow-up email on the webinar, and there'll be an evaluation link in that email. Please help us to continue to improve our training by taking the time to complete the evaluation. If you want to complete it now, I just posted it in the chat window and you can click over from there. See you all on February 25th for how to power your communications with Google. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.